Yeah, so Aaron, story wise, lost the match and he became like the general manager, that type of role.
Okay.
Um, we had been fighting with Rion since the beginning. Rion was baby, and of course, so like uh, when you see Rion, ask him about me and nut shots. I don't give. I believe in taking people out for real. Um, because he says every time we got in the ring, I gave him a nut shot every time, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty much true. Yeah. So, um, it was one of those things where you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
So we brought in Willie and Rion to join the ARC, and then that was at Crash Tested. Um, then other places, because I know Rion's schedule is busy. Uh, Willie started uh, his health started to catch up with him. Um, so we found Stampede Larkin, um, and I saw something special in this kid. Dude is built, jacked, uh, and like he's one of those guys. Like as soon as you see him, he's a wrestler. Like yeah, I just think he needed to be in the right place at the right time. Um, and this is gonna sound so horrible, but my son, D'Angelo Steele, a pretty
Mhm.
psychopath. He had been begging. He was part of the VIP family, um, but he wanted to be part of the ARC. I was like, you know. Um, but eventually, when the time was right and the company was right, um, it was like it worked out perfectly. It was just one of those things like, okay, a lot of times, again, we live in a society, and I call it the microwave society, where, I'm a little bit older. So when I came home, my mother was cooking a actual dinner, so she was in the kitchen for 2, 3 hours, cutting and, seasoning and putting it in the pot and in the oven, so it wasn't instant, you know.
Yeah.
Now, you want something to eat, you go in the freezer, rip off the wrapper, throw it in the microwave. 2 minutes later, ding, there it is. It's ready to eat.
Oh yeah.
So,
Banquets, man. I lived off of that blue ribbon banquet, man.
hey man, I love Salisbury steak.
Oh god. Whoever says they don't lies.
So, so yeah, so that pretty much is the whole ARC. But when left it, I'm proud of my son, um, my stepson, but I don't even consider him my stepson. I love D'Angelo like my own, and he introduced me to his mother, which is my wife. So I can't complain. You know,
So does that mean when you gave him the opportunity to become a champion in that battle royal, is that like, hey, thanks, now we're even?
you would think that, right? You would think that. You mean where he won the title?
Yeah, yeah. I remember
So
hearing there was a battle royal. You were champion. Is it CCW?
no, it was the C3 Wrestling,
C3.
um, C3 Ultimate Wrestling.
Okay.
Uh, so it wasn't that I was champion, uh, but I make the statement if I was, it was my last, you know, last match at C3, my last appearance. And if I was going out, I was going out as champion. You
Yeah.
know, um, the real reason why I eliminated myself, my son has so much talent.
Mhm.
And again, he's overlooked, you know, and I have no reason or to understand why he's overlooked. People just, oh, okay, it's another guy. And it's like, no, he can put on a banger, but you have to give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, and he, again, I'm dad, I'm pops, calls me pops. And
Mhm.
uh, this was about probably 2 years ago, and he put on a match with JPH. They were tag team champions, um, and their opponents didn't show up. And so the owner decided, well, you think you're gonna get paid? Y'all still wrestling tonight. The only problem is y'all wrestling each other. And JPH had, like, was a few months off of returning from Texas, so his game is already up here.
Yeah.
And I was worried. I was like, is he gonna be able to keep up? I'm like, I don't think he is. And oh my God, I sat on stage and I did commentary. And to watch D'Angelo raise his game, like, oh my God, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I had never seen him
Yeah.
take his wrestling ability to that level before. And as a father, I was so proud. I was like, yep, I'm proud. So plus, we've went through some good times. So he deserved a title, even though he shouldn't, because he let me get my ass whooped by Rodney Mack a long time ago. So yeah, I'm still pissed about that. Don't laugh, Travis. Don't laugh.
It, it's your expressions that make it entertaining. I'm not laughing that you got beat up by Rodney Mack.
No, so I got concussed by Rodney Mack. Like
Okay.
I literally almost died.
How was it compared to the boot named Sue from Max?
I would take the boot name suit 10 times a day.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened with Rodney Mack then?
So we worked for a company called League of Rustlers.
Okay.
Um, and the main event, which technically we had no part, um, we had just won, me and D'Angelo had just won the tag team titles earlier that night. Uh, Rodney Mack and Jazz were the special guests. Um, and Rodney had just brought in, and this is before they opened the school, him and Jazz, had
Mhm.
brought in a green guy, right? Like, yeah, we're showing them the ropes and
Yeah.
teaching them to travel and all of that. Okay, so the promoter decides during the main event, because Rodney has a standing open contract where if he decides he wants to go after a title, he can. It was like, okay. So we see the two opponents that are in the so the two opponents that are in the match, one of them, Rage, is a member of the VIP.
Yeah.
So this is where we knew shit went wrong. He puts Titan on the table. Now Titan, you have to realize, is 300 and something pounds and 6'8", 6'9", big dude, right?
Yeah.
We put him, so he's on the table.
Yeah.
Rage goes to the top, and Rage is supposed to break the table with him. We supposed to be on him, right?
Hmm.
Rodney Mack is supposed to come out, clear the house, right? Well, Rage goes to the top, but he's taking forever, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we gotta keep hitting Titan. All right, he's finally up there. All right, you ready? Go. And he flies and bounces off a Titan. The table does not break.
Oh wow.
It was one of those old wooden tables that had the steel bar around the outside
Hmm.
so it doesn't break. And nobody looked at the table. So the table didn't break.
Oh wow.
So Ray just bounces off and we got to push Titan on the floor. Me and Steele, we push him on the floor. All right. Here comes Rodney Mack. All right. So punched Steele, punched me. Oh, okay. Now we're gonna play the chicken shits. Or I'm gonna play the chicken shit, right?
Hmm.
So I'm on the ground. I'm trying to hide. His manager, the new kid, has on pointy, like, and you hate to be like pointy toe shoes with the steel toes, the steel cap on the top.
Yeah, like I like the cowboy boots.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
just shoes, right?
Okay.
Dude, he's kicking me dead in my ribs
Oh.
with the point of the boot, point of the shoe. I am pissed, but I can't do shit because the kid don't know how to do shit.
Hmm.
Clearly, by trying to give me the boot, and he can't.
Yeah.
I literally climb between chairs. I'm under the chairs.
Hmm.
Nobody can get me, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't be. Because
Should
people are sitting on the chairs.
should be impossible. Yes.
So I look, I peek my head out, and I see Rodney grab Steele, snap suplex on the floor.
Hmm.
Not there's no mats,
Oh
just the floor.
Jesus.
But I'm ready, right? His manager points where I'm at. Fans get up. Why the hell did y'all do that? He grabs me. But now in my head, snap suplex, right?
Yeah.
He just gave it to Steele.
Hmm.
He's gonna give me one, right?
Yeah.
Up, down.
Oh, like a brain buster.
He gave me a brain buster.
Oh God.
Like, and I'm post. I jumped and I'm posted and I'm good. And I'm like, but why are we not going over?
Yeah.
Phew, right on my head. I laid there the rest of the night. Like me not moving was not a work. It was a shoot.
Jesus.
It was, and trust me, I've got so many stories. It's ridiculous. But this was so funny because my family was there.
Hmm.
So match is over, and my cousin, who at that time she was CPD, and she's getting ready to go to work. She walks past. Hey, C Red, great show. Gotta go. See you later. And walks off.
Man. Could
Now
even
my
help you up.
dude, no. Now my aunties are walking past. All right, see red. See you later. What? My cousins are walking past. Nothing. It took my other stepson, who at the time he was probably what, 10, and a 7-year old girl to help me to my knees. Because that's all the furthest I could get. I
Yeah.
couldn't stand up. I was done. Like, and I just crawled to the back of the building. And then the promoter, like, saw, like, dude, you're you're not well. Like, and they picked me up and carried me to
Yeah.
the back.
So
But
they thought you were working the whole time. Wow.
but dude, that's how I sell.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing that I learned at Windy City, and it goes back to Windy City, is like you have to sell. You
Mhm.
have to. Um, so you asked about my first match, and even though it wasn't official because I wasn't in the match, um, it was our Halloween show, uh, and it was called Monsters Bash. And the match originally, well, the match was still Steve Boz as Shawn Michaels versus Damian Dunn as D'Lo Brown. So they're doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
I come out as Kamala, the face paint, so I didn't have to.
Slapping.
I did
Ah.
all the paint. Diamond had made me a loincloth, like barefoot. I'm out there, like, doing the whole gimmick. So Steve Boz sets up Damian Dunn to give him a super kick on the outside,
Mhm.
and I take it. But when I took it, again, I'm an actor, right?
Yeah.
I took it and I jumped at least 3 feet, hit the ground, and I laid there. Now, my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, at the time, she didn't know shit about kayfabe. She losing her mind because the match is over,
Yeah.
and she's screaming, "Sean, Sean, Sean!" And Diamond is trying to calm down her mother.
Mhm.
I'm not moving. I haven't moved. Sam is up in the nest and doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not moving.
Mhm.
I have stopped breathing. What is going on? Mother-in-law again. Sean, Sean. Diamond has to tell her mother that he's all right.
Yeah.
He's okay. My mother didn't do shit. She's sitting there like this. So finally, Sam is getting ready to call the paramedics
Mhm.
because I haven't moved.
Yeah.
It's been about 5 minutes and shit. And he doesn't want to bring out another match. And I'm fucking hurt. So he sends one of the rookies to come check on me. Rookies been there less than I have. He's like, "Are you okay?" Sam wants to know, "Are you okay?" I'm selling. What? I'm selling. Nobody knew. Nobody in the building knew I was selling. Everybody thought I was hurt. Everybody thought I was hurt.
Dude, I'd probably feel the same way if I was commentating that. If you were just laying there, like, I mean, the match is over, everyone left, people are now just staring, like, there's a body here now.
Dude, but that was the thing. The show wasn't over. Like,
Yeah,
but
I get it. You're waiting for somebody to come out and get you out. Get a couple guys to pick you
no,
up, and
I didn't even want that
you
in
just want
my
to be there until you're ready.
I just want to lay there. Like, hey, but I believe like that's always been my best. Like I've never been the best wrestler, dude. And I know that. Like I'm not super great. Like, I'm not gonna be, I made like what was it last year? Yeah, I made the top 500 black wrestlers, independent wrestlers, like, or black wrestlers. Yay, okay. I don't know how I did, but it's like okay.
You've done that a few times, though. That's an impressive feat, though, man.
Yeah, but again, I'm not a. I'm again, I'm not gonna say I'm a sports entertainer.
Mhm.
I just like to say I like to entertain the crowd.
Yeah.
Like if you watch my match, you're going to be entertained.
Hmm.
Like the only two times, and unfortunately you were there for the last one. You know, um,
Are you talking about the last one or like the last one? Last one.
the last one at IPW, like
Okay.
I had a panic attack when they because my right shoulder was hurt. So when Wade went to lock in the crossface,
Hmm.
he had my shoulder and in my head, like it's already, in enough pain, like
Yeah.
and instantly panic attack, and it was like, oh shit. But it had happened at the previous show too, like panic attack. Like, why am I having these panic attacks all of a sudden? Like, I don't get it, you know. But
Yeah. Did you
before
ever
that,
figure it out?
I think my body just needed to rest.
Yeah.
Like, um, when you've been doing this over 20 years,
Hmm.
I do know um, my knees hurt. You know, there's some days where everything is fine. You know, then there's some days where this hurts, that hurts.
Yeah.
I haven't taken a bump. You know,
Mm. I remember there was one conversation we had, and I can't remember if it was IPW or if it was SCW. I want to say it was at SCW. When you were telling me that, last year was going to be your last year, like after this, you're hanging it up. And I was like, hey, man, I get it. I just got done interviewing Ivan about the same thing. Well, now Ivan's coming back, but whatever, that's his story. And I do look forward to interviewing him next month about it. Um, and then I remember because that was like more at the beginning of the year, but then towards the end of the year when you kind of like you went on your farewell tour in a sense. I remember you being at IPW talking to me and telling me that I believe you said that you wrestled more last year than any other year you did. I think you're on like every IPW show, whether it was a 6-man tag with Rion and Steve, or you're going 1-on-1 with Turtle, you're in the Royal Rumble, you had the championship match against Damian Gray, uh, the steel match, like you wrestled a lot in that year. What was that final year like, as far as saying goodbye in a sense to something that you were ingrained into for the last 20 years?
rough. Um, when you do something for so long,
Mhm.
it just becomes second nature. Like there's nothing, you know. I always ask my students, on Fridays, guys got any plans for the weekend? When you see your coworkers, you
Yeah.
know, last thing they ask you, hey, any plans for the weekend? You know, my shit never changed. Yeah, I got a show. Like, you know what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I do. So I got shows the weekend.
Mhm.
Might be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Maybe it's just hopefully Saturday. You know, there have been, where you got to get up, pack a bag, get to the venue, you know, find out what you're doing, get dressed, put on the match, get undressed, like become second nature.
Yeah.
But then when you know there's a finale, that takes a different toll, you know. And I told my wife years ago, I'm hanging it up. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And she never saw it. She never
Mhm.
saw it. And you would think she would understand again. Her son being in the business, her husband is in the business.
Yeah.
You know, um, which quick story about her, she didn't know who I was. So, or she didn't know of the fame.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I'm not getting the big head, but uh, we were dating, and she's at her hairdresser, and she's getting her hair done. And I don't know how I came up in conversation, but the hairdresser, she's like, yeah, I'm dating this, guy. He's a wrestler, and there's another customer. So she shows her beautician, you know, this is the guy that my son set me up with.
Mhm.
And the other lady was like, ooh, can I see? I want to see. And she shows her my picture. Girl, you dating C Red? Oh my God, you are so lucky. Oh, I wish I could. And I'm like, who is this lady? Like, like she never got her name.
Mhm.
She just kept telling her, you know, how great I was. And,
Yeah.
everybody loves C Red. And it was like, I think that lady is a damn publicist. Who the fuck is she?
Right. That's your new hype person at that point.
I know, right? But couldn't find her. But again, I had promised her so long that I would see. And, this takes a lot out of relationships, not just marriages, but you know, uh, there have been plenty of birthdays and grandchildren's birthdays where you know I don't find out, like 2 weeks before or something, and I'm already booked.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, maybe I can stop off, real quick and drop off a gift or something, you know, or you got that family member from out of town, and uh, they, they're only in town that day,
Yeah.
you know, but you can't see them because you got a show,
Mhm.
you know, or sometimes you're just dead dog ass tired and you want to just sleep all day. You got a show. So um, last year was like that year where, and it just wasn't IPW, it was crash tested. It was Me going back to Rocket Pro and
Yep.
working there, and you know, still working with LOW and just different places, and it was like, ooh, like, and the funny part, I can say it with you, Travis, is the funny part. Um, I lost weight since I stopped.
You got into shape and that. But dude, it was because I didn't get to as many IPW shows as I wish I did. But the ones I got to were the ones that um was your Royal Rumble victory. I got to see you in the cage fight. I don't think I was there when you faced Damian Gray. I think I may have missed that match. They become a blur when it's weird. Like when I sit here on JFW and I hear the results from Pac-Man and Nubby about it, it feels like I'm there because obviously when we talk about Steve, when we talk about Rion, when we talk about Steve Red, it's an in-depth detail. And when we talk about the idols, it's an in-depth detail. I was also there at Rocket Pro when you and Johnny Knight teamed up with Pac-Man to face the idols. Um, I believe that was your last official match, right? So far, like like because IPW was the end of November when you were in the cage.
No, IPW was the last.
IPW was last. Okay, so I just got 'em mixed up. Um, how is it? Like, how did you get involved in commentary at Rocket Pro Wrestling,
Steve,
Dave?
I mean, so I was with Rocket Pro from at the very beginning,
Okay.
but I wasn't doing commentary, and I don't even think that was commentary. Um, the ARC was literally uh, on every show. Um, there had been a disagreement with uh, ownership over something that took place. Um, I thought it was over with, um, but we were then told we weren't coming back. Um, and I held that grudge for a while. Um, and again, life is too short to hold grudges.
Mhm.
Um, so I let it go. Um, and then everybody kept saying, "Hey man, you should come back to Rocket Bro. You should come back to Rocket Bro." When you see guys in the locker room like, "Man, you should come back to Rocket Bro." Like, but they don't want me. Like, I don't have a problem going back. They don't want me.
Yeah.
Um, and Steve called and he was like, "I need a commentating partner." He was like, and they asked him who he suggested, and he was like, "Me." And um, dude, it's been some of the best fun I've ever had in wrestling. Um, to again, every show now is standing room sold out only.
Yeah.
You know, like, and to be able to be the other voice on the other end to Steve. Um, it's it's a blast. It was the best decision I could make. People, oh well, how are you, retired and you're still commentating? Like, well, I don't have to get out there and do anything.
Hmm.
I danced around the ring one time and sit behind a monitor and
Yeah.
call action. Like,
Yep. Commentating with Steve is so easy to do. He is so easy to work off of, and I remember I
when he stays focused.
well, which is never. And but when I say easy, it's mean because the dude never shuts up enough for you to get like an entire statement out. I only have to think about like 2 or 3 seconds because I know he'll fill the gap with everything else. Even when he asks me a question, he'll answer it himself. That's how he makes it easy. But he's also entertaining when he does. When I did commentary with you, I believe it was last May, right? Was that the main? That's Steve's main
Yeah,
event moment last May. When we
yeah,
did commentary, it was fantastic. I had a great time with you, and I think this, what we're doing right now, came from that idea because we realized like you and I should just make a show together because Steve and Nubby are too busy, being famous, you know,
getting over.
getting over and everything. But I watched the Rocket Pro shows and I listened to you and Steve and the I think for my opinion again, it's just me speaking for me. I think the camaraderie that you guys have and what fits and what makes it works has a lot to do with your history with the Power Hour and all that stuff. Because you guys have been doing wrestling based like web series and shows for longer than the Power Hour has, right? Because you guys started on a different show before.
Yeah, we were. So Steve had his very own show. So coming out of Crash Tested, we were told um, we worked for a network,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually uh, had secured the morning after.
Okay.
So the morning after would do their shows. They were supposed to, at least, you know, do the morning after each Crash Tested show, from the studio. Um, and then things started to go down. The ship sank real quick.
Okay.
The hell with the Titanic. Um, and what wound up happening, um, the network then gave Steve a show called Last Man Standing. Um, and Steve did a very important show uh, with a wrestler, but the audio was messed up. No, somebody didn't record it. That's what it was. They were supposed to, hit the record button. It went live, but nobody recorded it for the
Yeah.
channel. And
Gotcha.
uh, his co-host at the time decided, because it was such an important topic, because the young man was talking about, the things in life he had dealt with, as far as abuse and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, and turned around, his partner quit, So again, they asked him, well, do you want to stay solo or do you want a partner? And he was like, well, um, let's bring in C Red. And I agreed until he told me who our first guest was,
And who was that?
Teddy Long.
Oh, I mean, that's got to be some interesting stories, though.
I don't like Teddy Long.
You don't like that line.
So
Like,
here's the story again.
okay.
So again, I've been doing this forever, right?
Hmm.
And we're doing Crash Tested, and Teddy Long is one of the special guests that night, right? So the opening match is a match uh, with I forget. How did I forget John Hudson? I'm so sorry, John. If you ever watched this, I'm sorry. John Hudson, he's in the match. Willie is in the match, right? So the ARC is represented in this scramble, like it's a
Okay.
six-man scramble.
Yeah.
But out comes Machine. Machine has the sack on his face, but more importantly, Machine has a damn machete. Now, I'm gonna play bad as hell, talk all mad shit, right?
Hmm.
When I see the dude with a machete? Hell no, I'm not gonna get in his face.
Yeah,
So
that's what brings the realism. That's, I mean, like in all reality, somebody comes at you with a machete or is walking around with a machete, you go the opposite direction as fast as you can.
right. So again, this is a 6-man scrabble.
Hmm.
So people are everywhere, right? So at one point, uh, we work out where Ace Bradley uh, and Machine start to hunt me down.
Yeah,
And I look, I scream, and I run out the front door, right? Ace Bradley runs behind me. Matches over with. We go to the back, and Teddy Long is standing close by the curtain. And he's telling everybody, yeah, oh, you did a wonderful job. Good job out there. Oh, I love your character. Good job. Good job. So, like an idiot, I asked, so what did you think? Oh, you were horrible. You took away from the match. Never take away from the match. So what did I do wrong? Oh, you should have just stayed in one corner. But if my guy is on the other side,
yeah,
ain't I supposed to go help get him up or motivate him to get up to try to win? Like, this dude is tripping. I was like, from that point on, fuck you.
yeah. It's like
So,
you just wanted to find something to complain about that is nothing to complain about at all.
but the thing is, like, I've watched his matches. Like, dude, you didn't stay in one corner. Like,
Yeah,
so get the fuck out of here with that shit. So for Steve to ask me about him, I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know if I'm able
hmm,
to do this. And then Animal died because originally uh, Animal was supposed to be the guest,
yeah,
and then he died. And then the network got Teddy Long to jump in, and it was like, okay, how do I sit on an interview with one person that I despise and then talk about somebody that I have the utmost respect and love for that just passed away? Because I'm a
yeah,
huge Road Warrior fan. So
yep,
how do I do that? I can't. And then I just had to kind of just like, this is professional wrestling still. So I have to be professional. So I did it. And, we started having fun and having fun. The shows got more entertaining.
hmm,
Then COVID hit, and uh, which was the irony because right before COVID, uh, we were offered contracts. And I thought we made it, like
yeah,
this isn't no major network by any means, but it's a streaming network. And, we're going to be able to be seen and they're going to pay us for our work. And, uh, you know, I know we all crack jokes on Steve, but Steve is a lot smarter, than what he seems. And Steve had the time to look over the contract.
hmm,
And once he told me what was in the contract,
yeah,
uh, like, oh, I'm glad I didn't sign, And then COVID hit, and You know, we started doing like we do now, through the Zoom, but we were told, hey, you guys shouldn't do a show every week. Uh, maybe do it once a month. Like, so we can lose a fan base?
Yeah.
Like, if if I've got 5 people, let's keep 5 people engaged every Tuesday night
Mhm.
versus, you know, once every. Because guess what? When that time comes again, you're going to lose somebody because
Yeah.
they forgot about it. Because they've had 3 other weeks to find something else on a Tuesday night to watch. No, I'd rather go up than down. So
Hmm.
that's when we kind of told the network, kiss our ass, we're done. So we left them and left Last Man Standing, and we changed it to the Power Hour, and the history is history.
How long did the Power Hour run for before 60 minutes was not enough? Because I don't think I've ever once found a Power Hour that wasn't at least an hour 45 plus.
You blame Steve for that. Uh, I
Dude,
think,
I'm waiting for that dude to watch this because I know there are times where like he's ready to wrap up because you're ready to go to bed, and I'm waiting for him to come to me and realize that we have been talking for 4 hours.
yeah, we're at 3:56. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and I know he's gonna come at me with something because like you said earlier when we were talking about how I never seen you other than like Happy Sea Red, like I've never seen like Down Sea Red. I've seen two Sea Reds, Happy Sea Red and Steve Just Lied to You Sea Red.
I
and,
don't
and
think either one.
and don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Steve. I look up to Steve a lot with the way that he puts his show together. I don't do a lot of because I like that they do it. You guys do it over on the Power Hour because you guys do it so well. Because you either know them, you know your guests personally, or you at least know their story. For me, it's I'm learning as I go because when I was sitting here and I was thinking like I want to talk to C Red about his career. I want to know about this stuff because everything between Elite Pro and IPW is a complete mystery to me. Unless I hear you talk about it, I have no idea what happened in there. And it's
Oh
like
man, I
so
mean, again, it's so much, and that's why it's crazy because it's like you said, we're at 4 hours.
yeah,
I haven't touched on IWA Mid South. Again, I barely touched on Resistance. Like,
yeah,
there is so much um, that honestly I was blessed with.
yeah.
Like, you know, remember I told you earlier, I set goals,
Hmm.
but never to the extent where, you think, oh, I've reached that goal, of I wanted to be known to the
Hmm.
point where now I'm doing this, or,
Yeah.
now I'm doing like, how many people, I did Man Cow's morning show.
Hmm.
Like, for me,
Yeah.
that's another high moment. Only because before my father passed, um, I told him I was taking off work to be on TV.
Yeah.
And at the time, did he? They had, like, my father was old school, so he didn't watch stuff like that. But I had DVR'd it and recorded it. But of course, he didn't know how to access. So when I got off work, um, not off work, but when I got like left, the studio, and uh, went home and ate and came back, I came over here. um, I put it on for him,
Yeah.
and to see the pride in his face, like that's my son on TV. Like, like he just had this smile, and it was
Mhm.
like, shit, that's it there. I'm good. I again, because I know we both have to work tomorrow. Um, but to sum everything up, dude, I've been one lucky son of a bitch.
Mhm.
You know, from everybody uh, at Windy City that uh, treated me with respect, uh, patience, love, you know, um, and just moving forward,
Yeah.
to growing the bonds. Like I said, like, dude, I would take a bullet for Marshe Rocket. Like, no shit. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't think twice. You know, Jazz is my younger big brother. You know, because yeah, Jazz can be silly, but at times Jazz has words of wisdom. You know, um,
Mhm.
I told you, like, damn trauma. Like Jay Washington, this dude left one career to go follow another dream. How many people get two dreams? You know, like,
Yeah.
and go follow them. You
Yeah.
know, dude, he wanted to be a wrestler. That was his dream. Along the line, he found out he was semi funny. We thought he was semi funny. You know, and at times we was like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like we heard that joke last week,
Mhm.
totally on the road. So, but uh, to see him doing his shit is like, dude, um, you know, Miles, the best kept secret in the Midwest. You know, my son, D'Angelo Steele, uh, shit. Somebody one day will see what I see. You know, um, Renee. You know, she just wants a chance. That's it. She just wants a chance.
Mhm.
I mean, dude, I've met so many people like yourself, um, which was crazy. That day we ate breakfast together
Yeah.
when we had Dutch babies. Um,
I didn't finish mine, so just so we know, I'm the only one that didn't. So
but to sit there
yeah.
and it was me, you, and Nubby on our end of the table,
Mhm.
but to hear you, you know, talk, it was the first time, wasn't JFW, wasn't the Power Hour, what it was just guys just having conversations, talking about wrestling and
Yeah.
talking about the business and or just life in general.
Mhm.
And like that's the shit that I'm blessed with. Like when I can sit down with people and we can just talk. And it doesn't matter you're white, I'm black. You know.
You're black.
Some people say it I am. I don't know.
I'm colorblind, bro.
I keep telling people I'm a dark Puerto Rican Jew. Always
Oh
said that.
shit.
So
Well, everything we talked about, and like you said, there's so much more, and I have no problem bringing you back on down the line to kind of like tell more stories because, dude, it's fantastic hearing about it. And that's why I said I love talking to the guys who are either like towards the end of their career or done with their career because I want to know like everything from start to finish. The one thing I do want to talk about before we wrap up, and I know again, 4 hours, but take that, Steve. Um, is March 23rd the Mr. Bill Classic, SCW, CSW, and Power putting on a tribute show to remember Bill Robinette. I don't remember everybody, but I do know that Willie, Marche, and Diamond are scheduled to be in attendance there. How long
Not
is it?
not my ex Diamond.
Pretty sure I saw DYMOND listed somewhere.
No, if she is
Unless she was just mentioned
I
as like a
just
member of Windy City. So I could be
yeah.
wrong. Um, you mentioned on the Power Hour that you will lace up the boots one more time in honor of Mr. Bill.
Yeah.
Um, how important is it for you to do that for a guy like Mr. Bill?
Oh dude, for me it's everything. I've tried to explain to people who Mr. Bill was.
Mhm.
And again, so shit, we spent an hour just
Yeah,
on my backstory. So to see Mr. Bill in action for years, you know, introduce these people, you know, and I was just a fan. Like I never thought I would hear him come up, say my name that I created.
hmm
Never. Like it wasn't fathomable, like then for me, that very first time he called my name, being led to the ring by his manager, C Red. What? You know,
yeah,
when he called my name for my match, this is C. Like, dude, I've made it.
yeah.
Mr. Bill has introduced me. And again, kudos to you on the interview
Thanks,
with
man.
Hunter and Terry. Like, dude, Mr. Bill was that guy.
Yeah,
Like, fun to be around. You know, even like he was one of those guys you would sit under the learning tree with because
hmm
he had seen so much, and you just would sit there and just listen to his stories. You know, and it was like he was like he's your grandpa. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. It was I think the moment that like really clicked with me during my conversation with Terry Hunter was when I was explaining to them how trying to get ready for the interview. I was scrolling through the Facebook posts about everyone who was announced, and I'm writing name after name after name, and it just kept going and going and going. And what I've said to them during the interview is like, I don't know how many names I wrote. I know there's a 70-man battle royal happening. So I know there's more than 70 people showing up, whether it be Windy City alum, whether it be, veterans in the business, rising stars in the business, women in this business. Like so many people are coming in for an event for one guy. And it just shows how important this guy is to the business. And then when Terry explained from from coast to coast, from Florida to Minnesota, people are coming in for this night.
Yeah,
And I know when Steve was on my show, he expressed his disappointment not being on it and everything, and talking with Hunter and everything, and explaining, who is doing what and everything. I get it. It's nothing with Steve. It's all about Steve has his scheduled dates and this date conflicted, and I wish Steve could have been there. I really do. When I heard you were coming in, I was like, thank fucking God. Because, like I said, man, you entertain the fuck out of me every time you're at a show. It's a bummer having to wait until RPW releases to YouTube to listen to what you do. Um, but I get a chance every Tuesday night to listen to you on the Power Hour. Um, I love the fact that, even though Freaknet Studios isn't the network that you guys were doing before, it's a growth thing, and I my ambition is always to bring in people and help each other grow and stuff. And I love the fact that the Power Hour is a part of that. I remember talking to Steve. I don't know if he ever told you this. I don't know if I ever told you this because my memory sucks. But when we were talking at Rocket Pro Wrestling, and we are talking about, I think it was the Rocket Pro show before your last IPW match, or no, it was before your roast. I asked Steve, I'm like, so what are you gonna do with Power Hour if C Red is done? Because you still didn't give an answer at that point if you're going to continue to do the Power Hour or not. So it's like, what were you going to do with the Power Hour if you were done? He said he wasn't quite sure, and he threw out some ideas and stuff like that. And I was like, well, if nothing works out, I'd love for you to be part of Freaknet Studios. Bring it over here. If you don't want to call it the Power Hour, we'll call it something else and everything. But we'll find a way to help each other grow and build and still make this, work and stuff. And he was all for it and everything. And then when you did your speech at your show, stating as long as me and Steve, quit being childish and petty, that you'll stick around. And I'm glad you stuck around because, like I said, like each person on the Power Hour, whether it's you or Steve or Rachel or Rion or even Pac-Man's pictures, there's an essence that's being brought to the show from different perspectives and stuff. And because you have the knowledge that you have in this business, over 2 decades of knowledge and experience and perception that you have in this business, it's the roses that you give is incredible, but it's the fact that you could talk with these guys and you could see it in your eyes without even saying a word that you understand the highs and lows that people are talking about. Like you can relate to those highs and lows. The facial expressions you give when Steve kind of gives his opinions on things, either like you look at him like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" or like, "Yeah, I can get that." I love the fact that you stuck around, and I love the fact that I can sit there with Steve and look at him while he's exporting the video of this roast. That's it's like, do you want to be part of Freaking Studios? I want all of you to be part of Freaking Studios. Nothing changes, and I'm glad that he agreed to it, and I'm glad that we get to work together and stuff, and I'm glad that we got to finally do this. Like I said, I mean, we talked about it, I think, in May of last year, of just
Yeah.
having you on,
Well,
and
I'm I'm again. There's no way in the world you could tell you would have told me I would have been talking for 4 hours. But again,
the
you can't
the
try to contain 20 years plus stories.
yeah.
So,
The
uh,
mo- the moment we got to 109 and you got to your training at Windy City, I knew we were gonna be here a while, and I'm fine with it. We could talk for 4 more hours, and I'd still be okay with it.
and the crazy part, I could do it. And
Yeah.
again, like if anybody takes anything away, and I'm not trying to be religious, um, but I was in that place that
Hmm.
nobody should be in.
Yeah.
And I prayed, and God answered my prayers with pro wrestling. Again, something that I grew up loving as a child, um, and never thought I could do. And then you kind of like, I want to do it, but not really. But then you have to look at your children, for me, as a man, as a father, and tell them you can be whatever you want to be. Well, what did you want to do? Did you do it? Now reality is looking me back in my face like, oh shit, I at least got to try. And I
Hmm.
did. So, I mean, as far as the beef, the squabbling, uh, again, I just believe we got enough of that shit in actual wrestling.
Yeah.
you know, everybody is, oh, well, listen, and well, my product is, how about we just enjoy every, because that's what I do as a fan. Like, I
Yeah.
don't pick, oh, well, I like WWE better than AEW, or I like vice versa. No, I just like wrestling. Like
Exactly.
I sat on a call last night with Mike Quackenbush, uh, and a group of people and myself. We sat there and watched a women's match from Japan with no audio.
Hmm.
He commentated, kind of explained things as they were going on, but I enjoy it because I enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
So it was like I'm good, you know. So like, let's be honest, you aren't a bad person, you know. So why are we constantly going back and forth? I mean, I get it. You know, hey, these guys hate each other. Listen to them on Monday. Oh shit. Well, listen to what they were but on Tuesday. I get it. You know, trying to
Hmm.
drive people up to listen. I get it.
Yeah.
But what happens when we all work together? You know,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's the dreamer in me. You know,
Hmm.
because I want everybody to just get along. Like, there's no reason why we're not. So
Deep down, you could blame for the issue between me and Steve. The issue,
perfect.
Hunter Payne.
Oh,
I there was a show, and I am trying my hardest to find the show where the very first time I ever talk about the Power Hour. I'm trying to find it. And all it was I listened to the Power Hour, and you guys were talking about some event. I can't remember which wrestling event it was, but Steve was giving his input on it. And I went on my podcast and I just kind of disagreed with it. I was like, I understand where he's coming from, but it just doesn't really make sense because this is what should be happening, blah, 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 blah. Um, and I've been doing it. I was doing it for a couple weeks. Like, I just got done listening to the Power Hour and they were talking about this, but like I remember seeing that guy and I know this, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, I found out Steve was working SCW. He was doing the commentating, and I asked Hunter, I'm like, that's the dude that I've been talking about on my podcast for like the last month. So Hunter went up to Steve and was like, yeah, this dude's been talking shit about you. And he told me he said that, so I went to Steve. I'm like, hey, I guess I'm the guy that's been talking shit about you. And that's kind of like how I went into it. And then Steve said something, and I was like, well, he's wrong. That's not what I did. And then I responded, and then he went back and said, well, Travis said this. And I go back, no, I didn't. This is what I said. And then there was one episode that I can't remember exactly what it was, but Steve said something to you to where like I think it was the first time where you said something about me being like in a sense a bad dude. Like me like tearing Steve down for something, whatever. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, that's not what I said at all. Like, not at all. And my heart warmed so much at your roast when you came up to me and said, I listened to the show. I understand what Steve has been doing now.
yeah, because when you sit back, because again, it's hard to listen to JFW and watch Raw.
Hmm.
You know?
Yep.
So sometimes I'll try to find it early Tuesday mornings, but
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I can't.
Hmm.
Or I'll play it in the car going to work,
Yeah.
but it's like a 10-minute ride.
Hmm.
So I really haven't got anything good, So it's like, oh, but um, when you just sit back again, uh, I said it this past Tuesday, uh, and I've said it before. Wrestling as a whole
Yeah.
is art, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And everybody sees art differently. So whereas you might see a sculpture and say, "Oh, this is a beautiful sculpture,"
Hmm.
I might see it as it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That
It's
doesn't
perception. It's
right.
all perception. Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're right, I'm wrong, or I'm
Hmm.
right, you're wrong. It just
Yeah.
means how we see it. Think about it. How many people don't watch wrestling? Like you said
Yeah.
your family doesn't. You're the only one.
Yep.
Why? Because it's the perception. You
Hmm.
see something and find something interesting. Other people see it and don't. You know, women see it. Ooh, it's half naked men.
Yep.
Men see it. Oh, why is my wife looking at half naked men?
Right. It always goes back to, oh, it's just some dude in his underwear, rolling around on the ground. It's Yeah, dude, it's a weird concept when I tell people like, oh, I do a podcast, what's it about? It's like pro wrestling, and somebody says like, you done with that fake stuff that's on TV, and it's like it's not fake. It's like people get messed up all the time on there. In the best description I get you, it's predetermined soap operas with body slams in a sense. It's people are really going out there doing physical actions to each other by trying to tell a story. It's no different than watching a movie or going and watching TV or all this reality TV that people believe is out there. People are out there to try to tell you a story. They're just beating the shit out of you while they're doing it, beating the shit out of each other while they're doing it. Um, but exactly, it's perception, and that's why like it never really bothered me personally when Steve would say something about me. I'm like, thank God, now I got something to go on to next Monday to correct his issue, and I know he's just gonna come back at me. And my favorite part of it is like every time Pac-Man comes on to the following Monday, and I was like, well, you heard what Steve said. Why didn't you correct him? He's like, I forgot, and I was like, exactly. I love Pac-Man. I have no problem saying it. I love messing with that little dude, and I think it's really cool that you kind of accepted them, as like the fans that they are, and them calling you grandpa and Flash Harris dad. I think that's really cool that you could have that interaction and that relationship with what were fans, but now I guess you consider more friends now.
Yeah,
And the Johnny Nye thing. I love that Rocket Pro is actually incorporating that into it too, because not many companies out there are going to be like, "Hey, let's get this fan group involved in our shit."
no,
That's cool.
wouldn't.
No.
They wouldn't. And let's be honest, dude. If it wasn't for the fans, we
Hmm.
wouldn't be here. You know,
Yeah.
whether you like whatever company you like, people don't have to spend their hard earned money. You
No.
know, think about it. When you came to IP, it's funny because Miles said that in December or November, I should say, that was the biggest crowd that IPW had ever had.
The Steel Cage show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, hell, we're going to need you to come back and retire every month that we run the show. And I'm like, it's not that serious, but I'm grateful to everybody
Hmm.
because you didn't have to on a Sunday. So I thank you.
Yeah.
You could have stayed home. And, a lot of people, forget. I get it. We live in an age where a lot of fans sit behind these things and
Hmm.
they type what they're feeling. I get it. But what about the ones that actually come to the shows?
Yep.
They pay their heart on whether it's $10, 15, 20, 25, whatever they pay for their ticket that night.
Yeah.
They paid their money. Now,
Mm.
does that give them rights to do stupid shit? No.
No.
But it gives them the right to enjoy themselves. Um, so I'm very grateful because I've met fans all over. And dude, some of my best uh, relationships are with fans, because I I love them because some of them just they do shit that they don't have to do.
Yeah.
I've got two fans downstate, and I can say Jen and Mary. Like, dude, these are the two sweetest women in the world, and every time they see me, uh, they bring me a gift, and I've never asked for a gift, but you know, and it's not necessarily something huge, but
Hmm.
it's the fact you thought about me enough
Yeah.
to bring me a gift. Like I didn't do anything special, but what the promoter asked me to do. Let's come out here and entertain. Like so when you make those bonds with fans, you know, like that's the great part. That's why I can't wait for the 23rd because I know there are going to be so many fans from when Mr. Bill was alive and that was there, whether it was the amphitheater, whether it was the studio, whether it was Roland Park, wherever
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bill was, like they're gonna be there.
Yep.
Those are the people I want to see, because I
Mm-hmm.
want to make uh, make his family proud that he was one of us, you
Yeah.
know. So, and as far as us being part of FreakNet, dude, I thank you. Not saying that that other network that we were on prior, but it's easy. It's a lot more fun when you do it with friends.
Yeah.
It's easier. You know, when you talking to people you really barely know, and it's like, okay, here's our content. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, and that was one thing like I was telling Steve, like to be part of Freaking Studios isn't me like I joke with Nubby and stuff about it, but like I'm not a boss. Like I don't own anything. Like it's a partnership where we come together and just help promote each other. Like whatever the Power Hour does and whatever JFW does is completely separate. Just like whatever this freaking show does is completely separate from JFW. Like I just wanted to say like, hey, we are collectively helping each other grow as content creators, pretty much. As
yeah.
I told, yeah, it's like I'm never gonna tell Steve like, hey, listen, as part of Freaking Studios, this is how things work, like because it's not like that. As long as you're not out there tearing apart somebody based on their preferences in life and just to be in a negative way. There was another podcast that was part of Freaking Studios that I cut ties with because they just had slightly aggressive opinions that I just didn't want to have like a backlash on us in any way. And I mean, he was a good friend. Now we're just kind of acquaintances. But I'm just like, dude, the way you do your podcast, it's just going to the extreme, and I just can't deal with it anymore. I just cannot.
And I get, you know,
That's why I loved, like, honestly, I don't. If the fourth mother box listens to this, I would actually want them on the Freaking Studios thing because it's a different kind of brand of content that I think could mesh well with what I'm doing over here. I just want to grow. I mean, if I can make this my job, I'd be happy.
who wouldn't, you know,
Right.
sit and
Right. That
edit and film and talk for
exactly.
4 hours and 28 minutes.
Right. That's what I tell every single person I do podcast with. Like, if we made this into something, we don't have to go to those jobs we don't like doing tomorrow.
I
You
like
know,
my job, but I sure enough would call off right now. I'd be like,
your your job has purpose. Your
yeah,
job is
yeah.
amazing. I Yes, absolutely. C-Red, I kept you long enough, man.
Or did I keep
Steve,
you
take
long?
that. No, God, no, I got no life, bro. Are you kidding me? You know who I got waiting for me? A dog. And he's probably sleeping on my bed right now, messing up my blankets. Um, I do appreciate you coming on. And like you said, I know there's so much more that we could talk about, and I would love to do that down the road with you. And I really look forward to seeing you on the 23rd because it's been a minute since we actually seen each other. So I do look forward to seeing you on the 23rd and seeing what you got going on because I don't know what everyone is doing, but I'm excited to see it. And for those of you who are listening, if you do want to hear C Red share some more stories from time to time and give his opinions on professional wrestling, make sure you do check out the Power Hour. It's every Tuesday night. They interview local independent wrestlers. They talk about upcoming shows. They mention roller derby, which I would need to make out. I need to make to one down the line as well. And you find them on the Power Hour channel on YouTube or Steve Aaron's Facebook page when he shares it. It's also shared over on the Freaknet Studios Facebook page. Also, if you subscribe to the JFW podcast, if you scroll to the bottom of our YouTube channel, Power Hour is featured on there as well. So you can find it on the Freaknet Studio channel or the JFW channel. It's right there at the bottom. You just gotta click on Steve's little face, which I don't know why it's just Steve and not all of you guys, but whatever. Um, C-Red, thank you again for being on and talking with me, man. And I can't wait to talk more with you.
Dude, you just name the time and place.
Perfect. We'll get.
I'm sure I got another 4 hours in me.
We'll plan something down the line, man. Like I said, I mean, I want to hear it all. Like you said, like there's a good 10 years that
I
I
tell
know
you
nothing
what,
about.
I tell you what, uh, and I don't know if it's even possible,
Mhm.
but if you ever get Jazz, Marche, and me and Willie, if you get all the soul touches, yeah, make sure we start like at 9 in the morning.
I got no problem doing that either. I as long as I get we'll take some bathroom breaks. I'll get more to drink and everything. Yeah, I'll make it an all day. I'll make it a marathon. And I don't run marathons, obviously, but I will marathon an interview with you and the Soul Touchers 100%, brother.
That you would lose your mind about because the stories out of there,
Mhm.
it's just like, oh my God, from uh, Brian Danielson, uh, yeah, not eating an apple, and that was his lunch. That story is bananas. From us working at Dragon Gate uh,
Mhm.
with Luke Harper, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
uh, and we didn't speak an ounce of Japanese, and we're working Dragon Gate. Everybody else speaks Japanese.
Mhm.
Nobody speaks English. What the fuck? What are we doing? Okay, great. Um, like I said, there are so many. The story of me driving down the road was probably as long as this interview, and my diabetes is acting up. And oh, I was telling you, we got stories. We got stories.
Well, we're definitely gonna plan to tell them all, because I know people are gonna love hearing them, and I love hearing them more than anyone else. Again, guys, make sure you check out C Red along with Steve Arendt, Rion Skills, Rachel, and Pac Man over on the Power Hour every Tuesday night. Make sure you are subscribed to them on YouTube. Make sure you follow, Steve and C Red and everyone on Facebook. Make sure you're following us on social media, Just Freaking Wrestling at JFW Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at JFW Podcast. And make sure you check out, because as I mentioned, this interview is an exclusive YouTube interview, so you can only find it on our YouTube channel, because I want you to see Red's expressions as he's telling these stories, because it's how he does it is makes it the most important. Guys, that's all I got. As always, I am Travis C, and this is the Urban Sensation C Red. And thank you for listening to another episode of Just Freaking Wrestling, the JFW podcast.